Roman Reigns was stretchered out of WWE after a shocking attack from Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. I'm going to say something that's going to make half of you absolutely furious, and I don't care. Roman Reigns being stretchered out of WWE after that brutal assault by Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker is the best thing that could have happened to professional wrestling right now. And before you start typing your angry comments about how I'm disrespecting Roman or celebrating injury, stop. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that this moment, this shocking, visceral, devastating moment just reminded everyone why we fell in love with wrestling in the first place. This wasn't some sanitized, predictable sports entertainment. This was raw, unpredictable violence that had us believing Roman might actually be done. And if you're sitting there complaining that WWE went too far or this was too violent, then maybe you need to go watch something else, because wrestling without edge, without danger, without that feeling of oh my god, did that really just happen, is just boring choreography. I'm about to break down every detail of the most shocking angle of 2025, explain why this changes everything moving forward, and reveal why Roman being carried out on a stretcher is going to make his eventual return the most anticipated moment in WWE history. Let me take you through what happened step by step, because the details of this attack are what made it so effective, so brutal, and so completely unforgettable that it's going to be replayed for decades. SmackDown was live, and the energy in the arena was already electric. The show had been building toward Roman Reigns addressing the WWE Universe about recent tensions within the Bloodline, about challenges from younger stars, about his legacy and what comes next for the Tribal Chief. Roman's entrance was vintage Roman, that slow, methodical walk, the pyro, the special entrance through the crowd. But, and this is important, there was something different in the air. You could feel it. The production team had this ominous lighting. The camera angles were more chaotic than usual. WWE was telling us without words that something big was about to happen. Roman got in the ring and grabbed the microphone. His promo started typically talking about being the head of the table, about the 4+ years of dominance, about how he built SmackDown into what it is today. The crowd was split as usual, some acknowledge me chants, some boos, the typical Roman reaction. Quick question for the comments, what were you expecting to happen when Roman started his promo? About 5 minutes into the promo, Roman said something crucial that, looking back, was foreshadowing, there are wolves in the locker room who think they can take what I built. They think because I'm not holding a championship right now that I'm vulnerable. But let me remind everyone he never got to finish that sentence. The arena went pitch black. Not just dim lighting, complete darkness. The kind of blackout that makes the crowd gasp because they can't see anything. You could hear the confusion, the anticipation. Something big was coming. When the lights came back up maybe 3 seconds later, but it felt like an eternity, Bronson Reed was already in the ring behind Roman. How did he get there that fast? Was he under the ring the whole time? The element of surprise was perfect. Roman turned around just in time to see Reed charging at him. Massive clothesline. Roman went down. But he's Roman Reigns, he immediately tried to get back up. The Tribal Chief doesn't stay down easy. But before Roman could fully recover, Bron Breakker's music hit. Not the full entrance theme, just the aggressive opening notes. Bron came sprinting from backstage like a bat out of hell. The crowd was losing their minds. Bron slid into the ring, and now Roman faced both monsters, two of the most physically imposing athletes in all of wrestling. Roman tried to fight back, and credit to him, he got some shots in. Roman's not someone who goes down without a fight. Drop a comment, did you think Roman had any chance against both of them? But the numbers game was too much. Reed hit Roman with a headbutt that echoed through the arena. Bron followed with a spear that nearly cut Roman in half. The Tribal Chief crashed to the mat, and that's when things went from aggressive attack to attempted murder. Reed and Bron weren't just attacking, they were systematically destroying Roman. Reed picked him up for a powerbomb, but instead of just slamming him, he held Roman up in the air. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. Making Roman's body strain. Making the crowd anxious. Then Reed launched Roman, throwing him into the corner where Bron was waiting. Bron caught Roman and delivered a devastating running power slam. The impact. Roman's body bounced off the mat. Security started rushing to the ring. Referees were trying to intervene. But here's where it got crazy. Reed and Bron were throwing security guards aside like ragdolls. Nothing was stopping them. They were men on a mission. Reed exited the ring and grabbed a steel chair. The crowd was in shock. This has gone too far, chants started. Some fans were booing the attack. Others were in stunned silence. Reed slid back in with the chair, and what happened next was brutal. He smashed the chair across Roman's back. Crack. The sound was sickening. Roman's body convulsed from the impact. But they weren't done. Bron set up the chair, opened it, and positioned Roman's head between the seat and backrest. The crowd was screaming no, because everyone knew what was coming. Question for discussion, at what point did you think WWE officials should have physically stopped this? Reed climbed to the second rope. The visual was terrifying. 300+ pounds of Bronson Reed about to come crashing down on Roman's exposed neck and head. The crowd was pleading for someone to stop it. Reed jumped, but at the last second, and this is important, Roman managed to move slightly. Not enough to completely avoid the impact, but enough that Reed's tsunami splash hit Roman's ribs and chest instead of his head. That little bit of self-preservation probably saved Roman from catastrophic injury. But even with that partial evasion, the impact was devastating. Roman immediately clutched his ribs and was gasping for air. His face contorted in agony. This wasn't selling, you could see the genuine pain. Bron picked Roman up one more time. He positioned him for another spear. Roman was barely conscious, couldn't defend himself, completely vulnerable. Bron charged and delivered the most vicious spear we've seen from him. Roman's body folded like an accordion. Finally enough security and officials had gathered to form a human wall between the attackers and Roman. It took 12 people to create a barrier. Bron and Reed backed off, but they weren't running away. They walked to the corner of the ring, arms raised in triumph, looking at the carnage they'd created. The camera focused on Roman, and the visual was heartbreaking. The tribal chief was motionless on the mat. His eyes were half open but unfocused. He was trying to breathe, but every breath was clearly painful. Medical personnel rushed into the ring with urgency that told us this was serious. Let me know in the comments, what was your immediate emotional reaction when you saw Roman down? The EMTs immediately went into protocol. They were checking Roman's vitals, asking him questions to assess consciousness, being very careful about moving him. One EMT called for a neck brace and backboard. That's when you knew this was being treated as a real medical emergency. They carefully placed the neck brace on Roman. The crowd was watching in complete silence except for scattered "Thank you Roman" chants. Some fans were crying. The emotional investment was real. They rolled Roman onto his side using proper spinal precautions, then onto the backboard. The care they were taking indicated potential serious injury. This wasn't a quick "help him to the back" situation, this was full emergency response. The stretcher was brought to ringside. They carefully transferred Roman from the backboard onto the stretcher, strapping him down securely. Roman's eyes were closed now. His face showed obvious pain. One hand was still instinctively trying to clutch his ribs despite being strapped down. As they wheeled Roman up the ramp, the camera showed his face in close-up. This image is going to be iconic. The tribal chief, the man who dominated WWE for over 1,300 days, being wheeled out helpless. The symbolism was powerful. Backstage, we saw the Bloodline members, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, all rushing toward the medical area. Their faces showed genuine concern. This was family watching family get destroyed. Comment below, did the stretcher job make this feel more real to you, or was it overkill? Michael Cole's commentary was phenomenal throughout this. His voice was shaking with emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed one of the most heinous attacks in WWE history. Roman Reigns, the man who has been the backbone of this company, has been stretchered out. We don't know the extent of his injuries. We don't know when or if we'll see him again. Corey Graves added, this was calculated. This was premeditated. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker didn't just attack Roman Reigns, they tried to end his career. The show went to commercial with that image, Roman on a stretcher, EMTs surrounding him, the Bloodline members looking devastated. When they came back, Adam Pearce was on screen with an update. Roman Reigns has been transported to a local medical facility. He is undergoing evaluation for injuries to his ribs, back, and neck. We will provide updates as we receive them. As for Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, they have been escorted from the building. There will be consequences for their actions. Later in the show, we got another update via graphic on screen. Roman Reigns, suspected broken ribs, cervical strain, under medical evaluation. The specificity of the injuries made it feel real. The final update came near the end of SmackDown, video footage of Roman being loaded into an ambulance. The visual of the ambulance doors closing with Roman inside, lights flashing, driving away from the arena, that's powerful storytelling. Social media exploded. Hashtag Roman Reigns was trending #1 worldwide. Hashtag stretcher job was trending. Hashtag Bronson Reed and hashtag Bron Breakker were trending. WWE had created a moment that transcended wrestling and became mainstream conversation. Question: did you immediately check social media after this happened, or wait until the show ended? Now let's break down why this attack was brilliant from a storytelling perspective, because there are layers upon layers to unpack here. This wasn't random. Reed and Bron specifically targeted Roman when he was alone, the tribal chief without his bloodline. That shows intelligence. They identified vulnerability and exploited it. The methodical nature of the assault, it wasn't just a quick beatdown. They took their time. They wanted to inflict maximum damage. That makes them look like calculating predators, not just impulsive brawlers. The use of the chair and high-impact moves showed intent. This wasn't about winning a match, this was about sending a message. The old guard needs to be removed for the new era to begin. The stretcher job is controversial in wrestling, but when done right, it's incredibly effective. Seeing Roman, the most dominant force in WWE, helpless on a stretcher creates sympathy even from fans who don't typically support him. The Bloodline's reaction shots added emotional depth. Seeing tough guys like Solo Sikoa looking worried humanizes everyone involved. The ambulance footage created a sense of finality. When someone leaves in an ambulance, the message is clear: this is serious. Quick question: do you think stretcher jobs are overused in wrestling, or still effective when done right? From Bron and Reed's perspective, this makes perfect sense. They're young, hungry stars who see an opportunity. Roman's not holding a title right now. He's dealing with bloodline drama. The timing is perfect to take him out. Both men have been portrayed as dominant forces individually. Teaming them up creates an unstoppable force. The logic is sound. Their post-attack demeanor, not running away, standing proud of what they did, establishes them as fearless. They're not afraid of consequences. That's compelling heel work. For Roman, this creates the ultimate sympathetic storyline. The champion who's been knocked down must rise again. Classic hero's journey. It gives Roman time away if needed for any real-life reasons, rest, family, other projects, while maintaining his character's importance. The eventual return will be one of the most anticipated moments in wrestling. The pop when Roman's music hits after being gone will be massive. Let me know, will Roman's return pop be bigger than any of his recent appearances? Now let's talk about what this means for the WWE landscape moving forward. SmackDown's main event scene: with Roman out, there's a void at the top of SmackDown. Who fills it? Cody Rhodes? LA Knight? Someone else? This creates opportunity. The Bloodline can operate without Roman for the first time in years. How do they function? Who leads? Solo? The Usos? This creates internal drama. New feuds can develop without being in Roman's shadow. Wrestlers who've been waiting for their shots suddenly have an opening. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, they're now the most hated heels in WWE. That's valuable. That's what you want for antagonists. They can target other top stars while Roman's out. Taking out Roman was step one. Who's next? This keeps them active and relevant. When Roman returns, they have built-in opponents for huge matches. The revenge tour writes itself. Without Roman, the Bloodline might fracture. Different members have different ideas of how to respond. Some want immediate revenge. Others want to be strategic. Conflict. Or they might unite in a way they haven't before. Common enemy brings them together. They become more dangerous in their quest for vengeance. Either direction creates compelling television. Internal struggle or unified force both work. Drop your prediction: does the Bloodline stay together or fall apart without Roman? Let's address the controversial aspects of this angle, because I know some of you have concerns. This was too violent for WWE's current audience. Wrong. Wrestling has always been violent. The Attitude Era was more violent than this. ECW was more violent. This was tame compared to wrestling history. WWE can tell intense stories without being gratuitously violent. This attack was impactful without crossing lines. No blood. No weaponry beyond a chair. It was restrained violence that still told the story. Stretcher jobs are outdated and unrealistic. Disagree. When someone takes the kind of punishment Roman took, a stretcher job makes logical sense. It would be more unrealistic if he just walked to the back. Stretcher jobs create drama. They make the injury feel real. They give weight to the attack. Without consequences, attacks mean nothing. This buries Roman Reigns. Absolutely not. Being taken out by two monsters in a planned attack doesn't make Roman look weak. It makes the attackers look dangerous. Stone Cold got attacked and taken out multiple times. Did it hurt him? No. It made his returns bigger. This is storytelling. Knock the hero down so his rise is more triumphant. WWE is just copying old angles. Every wrestling story has been told before. The key is execution. And WWE nailed the execution here. Question for discussion: can you name a stretcher job angle that was done better than this one? Now let's fantasy book where this goes from here, because the possibilities are endless. SmackDown opens with the Bloodline demanding answers from management. Adam Pearce tries to maintain order. The Usos want immediate revenge. Solo wants to handle it his way. Tension is building. Video update on Roman's condition: multiple injuries confirmed. Out indefinitely. The severity is established. Bron and Reed appear via satellite. They're unapologetic. We did what needed to be done. Roman's era is over. Our era begins now. The Bloodline starts hunting Bron and Reed. Attacks at random. Cat and mouse game. Other wrestlers take sides. Some support the Bloodline's quest for revenge. Others align with Bron and Reed's new era message. Roman appears via pre-recorded message. He's banged up but defiant. You tried to end me. You failed. I'm coming back, and when I do, you'll acknowledge me one more time. Build to a major premium live event. War Games? Elimination Chamber? Some sort of huge stipulation match. Roman makes a surprise return earlier than expected. He's not 100%, but he's here. The pop is nuclear. The match is brutal. All parties leave everything in the ring. Roman gets his revenge, but Bron and Reed look strong in defeat. All parties are elevated. Roman proved his resilience. Bron and Reed established themselves as main event level threats. Everyone wins. Give me your fantasy booking. How should WWE handle Roman's return and revenge? Let's talk about the real-world implications of this angle. Mainstream sports outlets covered this. ESPN, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report all ran stories. Roman Reigns stretchered out after brutal attack. That's free publicity. Wrestling journalists analyzed every detail. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to breaking it down. Engagement. Social media drove millions of impressions. Clips going viral. Everyone talking about it. Buzz. SmackDown ratings will likely increase the following week. People tuning in to see Fallout. Curiosity drives viewership. Merchandise sales for Roman will spike. Fans want to support him. We want Roman back shirts will sell. Premium live event by rates will benefit. When Roman returns, that show will do huge business. International markets are paying attention. Roman is a global star. This story resonates worldwide. Other wrestlers see opportunities. With Roman out, new stars can shine. Veterans probably appreciate the old-school intensity of the angle. This is what wrestling used to be. Younger wrestlers learn from watching how a major angle is constructed and executed. Comment your thoughts. Does this attack make you more or less likely to watch SmackDown regularly? Now let's discuss the historical context of stretcher jobs and why they matter. Stone Cold vs. The Undertaker. Austin taken out, returned to drive a car into the arena. Edge vs. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie taken out in a ladder match, massive sympathy. Shawn Michaels vs. Kane. HBK taken out, retirement tease, emotional return. CM Punk vs. The Shield. Punk stretchered out, added to the Shield's aura. These angles are remembered because they created emotional investment. The stretcher is a storytelling tool. Humans have primal responses to seeing someone hurt and helpless. It triggers empathy. In wrestling, the stretcher signals this is serious. It breaks the fourth wall slightly. The visual of a strong character reduced to needing medical help creates contrast that's compelling. When done sparingly, stretcher jobs are incredibly effective. Overuse dilutes impact. Let me know, what's the most memorable stretcher angle you've personally witnessed? Let's address what this means for Bron Breakker specifically. Bron is being positioned as the future. Second-generation star. Incredible athlete. WWE is all in on him. Attacking Roman, the most protected star of the last decade, shows WWE trusts Bron to carry this responsibility. Bron's intensity during the attack was perfect. He looked like a killer. That's a star. This establishes Bron as a credible main eventer going forward. He's not just good for his age anymore, he's a top guy. And let's address Bronson Reed. Reed has been waiting for this opportunity to be featured in a major angle with top stars. His size and presence make him a perfect enforcer character. He looks like he could legitimately hurt people. Teaming with Bron creates a new dangerous duo. WWE loves tag teams/factions. This has legs. Reed finally gets the respect he's deserved. He's not just a big guy, he's a legitimate threat. Question: who benefits more from this angle long-term, Bron or Reed? Now let's talk about Roman Reigns' legacy and how this angle affects it. Roman's career will be defined by moments. This is one of them. The stretcher job becomes part of his story. It shows that even the most dominant champions have vulnerabilities. It makes Roman more human. His eventual return will be talked about for years. Remember when Roman came back after being stretchered out? This is actually good for Roman's legacy. It shows range. It shows he can do more than just dominate. He can be vulnerable and still be strong. The longevity of Roman's career benefits from strategic time off, rest, recovery, come back even better. In conclusion, Roman Reigns being stretchered out of WWE after that shocking attack from Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker isn't a tragedy, it's one of the most brilliant angles WWE has executed in years. This is storytelling at its finest. The vulnerable hero, the opportunistic villains, the emotional investment, the uncertainty, the anticipation for what comes next. Yes, it was intense. Yes, it was violent. But that's what makes it memorable. Wrestling without consequences, without danger, without that edge is just gymnastics with storylines. Roman will be fine. He'll return stronger. His popularity will be higher. The pop will be massive. And when he gets his revenge on Bron and Reed, it will feel earned. For now, we're in the uncertainty period. How long will Roman be out? What will the Bloodline do? How will Bron and Reed capitalize? That uncertainty creates must-see television. Stop complaining that this was too much and start appreciating that WWE gave us a moment we'll remember forever. This is what wrestling is supposed to be. Drop every thought, reaction, theory, and opinion in the comments. Was this the right move? Did they go too far or not far enough? When should Roman return? What should happen next? Let's have the biggest, most passionate debate in wrestling newsletter history. Smash that like button if this angle got you invested in WWE again. Subscribe for daily updates on Roman's status and WWE's creative direction. Hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss any developments in this massive storyline. Roman Reigns was stretchered out, but he's not done. This is just the beginning of an epic saga. Thank you for watching, and remember, if wrestling doesn't make you feel something, what's the point? Share this video. Debate with your friends. This is what wrestling is all about. Let's go.